Hi everyone. Hi Ronit. Hi Radhika. Hi Netri. Um,
Soumya.
hey, thank you so much for joining. As more people continue to trickle in, we will start the conversation. However, since it's the four of us, I think it would be nice to start off with a round of introductions so we know who we're speaking to. And I think it would be great to deep dive into a lot of topics. Since it's a smaller group, we can also get to know each other a little better. So yeah, I would love to start us off with a quick round of introduction, and then I'll set up a quick agenda, and then we can start with the group discussion. Please, anybody who'd like to go first?
I don't mind. Hi
Thanks, Radhika.
everyone. No worries. Hi everyone. I'm Radhika. I'm from Pune and I run an NGO called Badlav Social Reform Foundation, where we work in the intersection of social and environmental issues. The core focus at the moment is menstrual and sexual health and sanitary waste management. This is about the work I do, but my expertise is in environmental sciences and waste management. I've been in Pune for almost all my life, except while I was doing my postgrad in Germany. And I'm looking forward to a space like this to brainstorm and discuss more ideas that we can later implement on ground. Happy to be here.
Thanks a lot, Radhika. Ronit, Netri, any of you would like to go next?
Yeah, hello, hi. I'm Ronit here. So I work in Mumbai. I'm a school teacher. I teach middle school children, and it's a co-ed school, Nalanda Public School. So it's a co-ed school. We have boys, girls, both. That's it. That's for my introduction. I teach language, and it's 10 years since I'm working as a teacher. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, Ronit.
Hello, good evening. I'm Netri. I'm a psychologist. I've specialized in clinical psychology. And presently, I work in a school as a school counselor. So it's just been 2 years. I'm new to this field. Yes, that's it, I guess.
Thank you. I'll just quickly introduce myself as well. Um, so I am the creator of this community of practice called Chipas. Apart from this, I work as a consultant with Atma, which is an accelerator for NGOs in the social sector. And I also work as a shaper under Global Shapers community. I've been working with Atma for the past 3 years, and before that, I was also teaching in a classroom as a Teach for India fellow. So it has been close to 5 years of experience in the social sector so far. With She Pulse, my vision is to explore the challenges that girls and women are facing on ground so we can create more data driven and sharper interventions um, to benefit the people that we are serving through our work and programs. So that's a little about me and our work. I think we can get started. A few people were a few people were also going to join, but I think they'll be delayed. So people will keep trickling in, but we can get started. So the objective of this space is to explore the student leadership, but specifically in context of girls. So the idea is for us to explore how can we create a conducive environment for girls to grow as leaders, and what are the different factors that contribute to this, and what are some factors that restrict this. And also, if we could maybe come up with a few practices that we have seen personally that encourage girls to be leaders more, and how can we take it back to our classrooms when we're doing our work. So I think we will start off with first maybe discussing what are some elements that make, or what are some factors that make a classroom or a learning center or a community a conducive environment for girls to thrive as leaders. So, from your experience, what are certain elements that you have seen that contribute to this?
Just to start off, I think the very obvious one might be how the teacher is um, reacting or how she is conducting herself and behaving with both the genders.
Yeah, I agree. And I think uh, I also feel like some physical factors, like how the classroom is designed, can also have a lot of impact. Because when you said how the teacher reacts, I was immediately taken to this image that I had seen once, where the classroom was designed in a way that majority of children sat on one side and few kids sat on the other side. And because girls were lesser, was the teacher was sort of like inclined towards staying at the other side of the classroom. I think it can also be about how we design our classrooms, or the physical design of a class, or the seating arrangement and things like that. Ronit, Netri, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, so in seating arrangements, what I do is like I mix them up. So I guess where you're what you were saying is that I guess or what you may have seen would be girls sitting on one side and boys sitting on one side. But if you're
Hmm.
mixing them up, so then there is no choice rather, or there is no point where you would focus on one gender, because everyone is sitting in a mixed manner, so both get equal attention, I guess.
Hmm.
Both would get, at least that's what I
Got it. Hi, Vrishali. Vrishali, are you here? Welcome to the space. Hi. You're on mute. So currently we are discussing. So Vrishali, currently we are discussing what are the factors in a classroom or elements that make it conducive for girls to grow as leaders. So that's what we're currently discussing. But Vrishali, do you want to take a minute to just introduce yourselves? I think Vishali is struggling with tech, so we'll give her some time. Uh, that's a really good point. Thank you for sharing. Um, any other thoughts that you have, Ronit and Vishali, on what are some factors in a classroom that can contribute to making um, the environment more good? Or what are some practices that you have seen in a classroom that makes it easier for girls to speak up, to lead, because that is not something that we typically see in classroom.
so I don't know, maybe because it's a school in Mumbai, so girls basically have, you know, I don't think they're so much not at ease speaking up or answering in the class or being a part of any activity. Sometimes I guess in sports, I don't know, maybe you see boys doing more of sports than girls. I don't know,
Mhm.
you know. So the high jump, the long jump, or I don't know, maybe it's more interesting. Even you see cricket outside, so it's like, the boys are more over there rather than the girls. So I
Mhm.
don't know. I think more than the classroom, or at least in a school in Mumbai, more than the classroom, I think the playing field should be also put given a, both genders should be given equal opportunity over there, rather, or girls should be um maybe from a young age prone that okay, you can also do this. It's not
Mhm.
necessary that this is something only the boys are going to do and we see them only on sports day, and
Mhm.
so you should also make yourself seen at that point.
Hmm. Thanks for sharing, Ronit.
I think just adding on to that, also the kind of tasks that are expected out of the girls or boys in the school, in terms of if there is something heavy to lift or like a bench to move, then boys are usually doing that. If there is a classroom to decorate or clean, girls are usually made to do those tasks. Or making like things like a greeting card, the girls are making it, but if I don't know, they are going and handing it over to the principal or some head authorities, the boys are also joining in to do that, but it's actually made by the girls. So very small tasks, but they are divided in the manner based on the gender, maybe.
Mhm. Thanks for sharing, Radhika. I also feel like there is this bias that comes in that because we expect girls to behave better than boys, a lot of leadership positions that requires one to be out there, like where you cannot be polite. I think boys feel more comfortable in taking that up. So that is also something I have noticed. So as a teacher, I felt like uh, when girls felt like it was okay if they were, if it's okay if you're not fitting them into that category of good girl, they felt more comfortable in leading classrooms or wanting to be the monitor and things like that. So that's also something. Hi, Hazel.
Hello, hello.
Hi. Just to summarize, we are right now discussing different factors that make an environment conducive to for girls to emerge as leaders. We can think about the setting as a classroom or community or families.
Okay, okay. Thanks, Samya.
Yes. Yeah. So anything else that anybody would like to add here? Okay. I think we can also we can start discussing the next point now, since we've discussed a few points on how to make the environment conducive. Uh, would love to know more about the different factors that you have observed that restrict the mindset of girls to think themselves as leaders. So, what are some things that actively come in their way to act as leaders or to be proactive towards achieving something?
Maybe the mindset bit that you spoke about, that they have to behave a certain way, which is almost ingrained not just in school but also at home,
Hmm.
and that is carried on for years, if not unlearned or not exposed to other means. I think that is definitely one defining factor.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. I also feel like leading, and it can also be like leading in communities or leading in families. Basically, leading is nothing but doing something on your own and also telling others, hey, do this with me. Like it can also be something as simple as, hey, let's play this game together. But I feel like because girls are much more scared of failing in that end, and leadership of any kind requires someone to take up space and fail. That's also like one of the major reasons why I have seen a lot of girls not take up leadership.
Mhm.
Thanks, Rashali, for sharing that. I've also observed that. Anybody else would like to share more about like the factors they feel are more conducive or restrict the girls? Sorry, Radhika, you've unmuted yourself.
Not a very direct one, but I'm just, because I'm working in that space, not having proper access to washroom facilities, and just being a little reserved, either due to that or especially when they are menstruating, can restrict a lot of things, which also then affects the confidence and their morale to like speak up and just be more present and not worry about other things.
I agree. I think we can also speak about what does student leadership for girls even mean for us? Like, what would an ideal situation look like for us in a classroom where both girls and boys are equally leading the classroom or equally leading the community, the family? Um, you could also maybe share a little bit about that.
So I think when you have both girls and boys leading, most of the time it's the girls actually who, when you have a monitor, or you have two monitors and one is a girl and the other is a boy. What I've observed is the girls are more inclined to do the job well, rather rather than the boys. It's not like the boys are not doing it, but they are taking more of responsibility now. I don't know why, but as you're saying, okay, boys would if we're talking about in this context, you would see boys, or rather we say, okay, boys take up more responsibility, they will be seen as leaders. But when you see in this kind of a position, when you have two monitors, it's the girl who's doing most of the work. Or maybe the boys like to slack off and okay, somebody else is doing it. I don't know what kind of a psychology is working in the mind right over there, but this is what I have observed. Like, not always, but most of the time this does happen.
Hello. Yes. So what I've observed with a lot of girls is that they try to fit in, and they don't have that confidence to make mistakes, I would say, which makes them lose that opportunity of being a leader in any kind of setup. And since they're trying to fit in, they would, how would I frame this? Wait, I think I'll come up with better choice of words and frame it properly and then convey. Yes.
No worries, but I think that makes a lot of sense. I think for me, like one of one of the major examples of leadership by girls in my classroom was when girls came up and gave me very proactive feedback on my teaching practices. That Didi, I think you should do this and not do that, because um, that just meant that they know what they deserve in the classroom and they are ready to tell their teacher that this can be better. And I think that is a major leadership quality. Yeah, and from what Ronit said, I think also sometimes maybe we mix up doing what the students are told versus student leadership. Like these two concepts can also be very overlapping. Sometimes I feel like girls might do what they're told, like telling the classroom to be quiet when the teacher's away, but might not feel as confident to lead and present their own ideas of what discipline is, right? So yes, also feel that sometimes is this thing. Um, yeah. All those who haven't shared yet would love to hear what are your thoughts on this.
For me, I think it's always the lack of role models. Okay, that we don't have girls as role models. It's also the verbs that we teach our girls, correct? It's about to please, okay, and to continue to please. And I can't about making mistakes like a factor that holds our girls from being in leadership position. And I think also visually, we do not like to see girls in leadership position. There's something that happens. It's okay that girls are in a team, as followers, but it's weird how girls get called different names, and how then one has to be more masculine rather than be in their feminine energy, to lead as girls.
That's a very valid point, Hazel. I remember, like, even in my school, like, the girls who were little, like, loud and powerful, and there was sort of like a peer pressure to be more feminine, and leadership was seen more as masculine. So I think that also plays a huge role. With regards to leaders, like role models, I was also reading about how uh, leadership of girls gets impacted by how they see leadership in school, like their like if there is a principal who's a woman, it does impact girls to take up more leadership roles. Um, any thoughts on how we can improve the leadership of women in a school setting, in the school admin setting, to set up examples for girls?
I think firstly we should remind girls that physical attributes cannot be associated with leadership.
Mm-hmm. I think more, Netri, I didn't really get that.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
If
So
you
I
could
was
explain your idea a little more.
as in school, I can see a lot of girls that come up with girls that have issues with how they look per se, and they are a little underconfident. They don't have that kind of self-esteem, and like how others have emphasized on this, that
Mhm. Yeah, I think very valid point on self-esteem. Um, yeah, I think uh, while we're discussing the factors that impact girls or act as barriers to girls, we can also discuss a little about um, what can we do as educators and people on ground to encourage girls to be more leaders. So, what are the different changes that we can bring in to help the girls deal with biases and overcome them? Hi, Monica. Hi, Anita. Also, would like to request everyone, because we're a small group, in case it's possible for a bandwidth, would love to see more faces and videos on.
This is Soumya. I had a kind of a query out here because this is what I have observed. Um, Maybe it affects why girls are not so much into leadership, but I don't know. I see girls are not as close knit as a group of boys. Somehow,
Mhm.
boys are more supportive of each other, and girls are not as supportive. It takes hardly anything, and Um, I don't know if they're trying to outdo each other, but at least they don't like it when another girl is doing better than the other, so you always have this, or it's more obvious, I don't know, but most of the time it's girls pulling the others back, someone else back. But I don't observe it so much with the boys. The boys are just pretty okay with who does better, who does not do better. But I don't know why I somehow observe that with girls across classes, the higher classes, not the primary. In the primary, I don't see this. In primary, I think both of them behave most of the time in the same way. But when it comes to a higher middle school, like let's say seventh grade, or higher than that,
Hmm.
something like this happening. Does that affect the role or a leadership position that a girl could possibly take?
Competitiveness over collaboration. Anybody else who's noticed this or has worked on it? Or love to hear from others.
I'm not sure about this so much, but I feel like this might also change with age, like over a period of time, once they pass maybe high school or whatever. But it also feels like that girls are generally more sensitive. Um, it might be that they are getting affected by what others think or say much more than the boys. Like even if you're making fun of the boys, they'll take it with a pinch of salt and not say anything about it. Versus it could be very different when something similar is told by to a girl by maybe a best friend of that girl itself. So maybe how the girls feel affects a lot of other things, like how the emotions are being felt here. But this is just me thinking out loud and yeah, curious about this.
I think there are a couple of people who have just joined us. So just repeating the question that we're discussing right now for everybody's reference. So we're discussing what are the different factors that restrict the mindset of girls to think of themselves as leaders, and what can we do to encourage girls to be leaders in classrooms and communities, and how can we deal with biases and overcome them?
Hi,
Hi, Anita.
I want to add here that we have to instill a sense of self-confidence in girls. A lot of confidence is required for them to understand and believe that they are at par with the boys in all scenarios, on the sports field, in academics, wherever. So we have to instill that confidence. Everybody, be it at home, be it at school, be it in workplace, but that confidence should be instilled from a very young age to make the girls believe that they are at par with boys in whichever sector or scenario they are. you know this is one thing. Also, as my Ronit is my colleague, and as she said that even I feel that girls are not that close knit as the boys are. Boys are ready to take blame for each other. They will not open their mouth if somebody is caught doing something, but girls will. So that's a factor. Maybe yes, as Ms. Radhika said, that girls are sensitive and they want to, overcome or not take blame, whatever is the reason. That's also one thing that we like to, discuss in this forum.
Anita, would you like to give us a few examples of maybe what have you seen, like what lowers the confidence of girls or what increases the confidence of girls? What are some things that you've observed in the classroom?
So outshining in academics definitely boosts the confidence of girls. This is one major thing. Girls know that they are good at certain things like dancing and sometimes arts and all. And boys, they somehow it is ingrained in all of us that boys are good at sports better than girls. So you know फिर स्पोर्ट्स फील्ड पे गर्ल्स का कॉन्फिडेंस बहुत नहीं रहता है ऐसे सब वी इन एट आवर स्कूल वी हैव मिक्स्ड मैचेस एंड ऑल सो इन दैट I have seen in a team the confidence that the girls possess and the boys possess is different. So that should be at par because you are in one team. सबका confidence level same होना चाहिए जीतने के लिए वो
That's a great point. Anybody else would like to add to it? For those of you who have interacted in classrooms, would love to know some um, practices, or if you've been able to implement some practices in the classrooms or use some tools or resources that has helped you um, improve or encourage girls or improve the um, participation of girls in classrooms, and make them more confident, help them take up more leadership qualities. Would also love to know about any practices or tools that you have used that could be helpful for others. Anyone who'd like to add? Thanks for sharing, Rishari. I think since we haven't received any responses on it, and I would actually love to hear if anybody later on wants to share what are some factors that they had, like if there are any factors that you have been able to identify that this is what's happening that's stopping my girls from being more, from being able to participate more or take up more leadership roles in the classroom. Would love to hear about it. But we can move on to the last question of our discussion, which is that how have you seen the leadership of girls in the classroom create ripple effects for others? By others, I mean all the other stakeholders around the girl, right? The boys, the teachers, the headmaster, the family, the community, all the other stakeholders around the girl. So uh, how does the girl taking up more leadership qualities or being more participative, how does that create a ripple effect, and how does it impact the other stakeholders around her? Anybody would like to share about this?
In my experience, I feel like the girls are most likely to report or talk to the teachers about something that might be happening wrong in the class or with an individual. Um, which, I mean, if reported and if the teacher acts upon it, then whatever the thing might be is stopped, and the child is encouraged to report such cases. It could be a very tiny incident as just teasing or bullying to physical assault or whatever. But yeah, I feel like girls are more likely to report this incident to the teachers than boys. Boys would want to settle it amongst themselves, or uh, apne mein nipta lenge and let's not involve others. But girls are more likely to do this, and if encouraged and appreciated for this, it sets a good example of, because that's also taking a lead and acting on what's happening within their environment. So
Thanks for sharing that. Anybody else would like to share about their experiences, lessons, or anything they've learned? Yeah, I think I would love to hear from people who haven't spoken yet. Yeah, so would love to hear more about like what does girl leadership mean for you? How are you encouraging that? Or what are different factors that you feel can help us um, remove the barriers? Okay, since we don't have any responses, does anybody want to ask any questions that you are curious to know more about with respect to student leadership and with respect to increasing the agency of girls? Any questions at all? I think because we do have some time here and because we are all sort of like working with girls and have come here to learn about something. So would love to know like what was the question on your mind before you joined the space.
Soumya, you shared earlier that in your classrooms there were a few girls who came up to you to tell you that they want you to do certain things differently and suggest you. What in your observation was different either in the classroom setting or with the girls that actually gave them that space or confidence to come up to you and say that?
I think one was really instilling a culture of feedback in general. And this was something that I had done very actively, which is um, in general making sure that my students are very comfortable in giving me feedback, and there is no power dynamic between me and the students. And because of that, because of that, I think the students felt much more comfortable in telling me what is working for them and what is not working for them. I think when there are power dynamics between the teacher and the student, a lot of biases at the top filter down to the student, right? And like for example, like even if we are trying to be like, that we want to work towards gender equity in classroom, even if like we want to do that, if when we're teaching in a classroom and a girl is being loud, we find it much more obnoxious than a boy being loud, right? And that is a very ingrained bias that you cannot get over with very quickly. So that's why it's important for an educator to hear the voices of students, because they will call your biases out, and that is the only way to then make improvements to, because they will see it, you might not see it. So I think that was one of the major factors. Thanks, Rajni. I did not come prepared with any tips. I mostly wanted to facilitate the space and hear from you. But I think with Radhika's question, I was sort of like shared a little bit about my classroom experience. Great. We can wrap it up in a few minutes. Anybody who wants to share anything else, like anything else about the space or anything else that you want to talk about in terms of encouraging girls in the classroom? No worries, Rajni. Great. I think we can wrap this up then. I think the idea of these focus group discussions is to put together best practices, resources, tools to make classrooms more, to increase the gender equity and gender justice in classrooms, because that is really where a lot of values and a lot of practices start. So how can we make it conducive environment for girls to thrive and for them to learn leadership skills for the long term and for the rest of their life. We will continue doing this in the future. We would love to invite you again, and we'll continue to create such spaces. I hope this space was helpful to you and you were able to share your thoughts. And yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Vishali,
thank
for
you,
sharing
Sonia.
that.
Thank you, Soumya, for facilitating this.
Thank you, Radhika.
Thank you.